Here's your guide to the ACUMOBILITY Ultimate Back Roller. This patented roller is the only back roller that has 4 rows of bumps to target the muscles either side of the spine. The bumps in this roller were designed to be therapeutically firm, which means they have just a little bit of give, but they're still firm enough to penetrate into the muscle. However, if this is your first time using the roller or your back is really tight, this can feel a little intense to start. And so what we recommend doing is taking a towel and placing it over the roller. This will mute some of the intensity of the bumps and allow you to get used to that level of pressure. So after 1 to 2 weeks of regular rolling with a towel, you will begin to adjust to that pressure. And then you can take the towel away and allow the bumps to penetrate deeper into the muscle, which will feel really good at that time. You can always back off and put the towel back over it if you need to soften it. But we couldn't make the roller softer. Instead, we made the roller purposely firm such that you can soften it by just adding a slight pad on top. To begin using the Ultimate Back Roller, we recommend starting in the mid-back, where you can provide the most stability. For setup, what we're going to do is we're going to align the back roller such that the groove is directly over the spine, and the bumps are aligned either side of the spine in the muscles. I'm going to sit with my butt on the ground, and I'm going to take my thumbs and gently hook into the roller to make sure it doesn't roll away. Then, I'm going to slowly drape myself onto the roller, still maintaining stability here. I'm going to breathe, create a little bit of tension for stability, bring my feet up tighter, I'm going to squeeze my hips, and I'm going to lift myself up onto the roller. Now I can begin the rolling process. There's numerous different ways to roll, and we will teach you a few of those options. To start, you can keep nice control as you work up and down the roller. I'm using my legs to provide the stability, squeezing my glutes, and maintaining a neutral spinal position the whole time. Make sure not to drop your head like this, creating excess strain in the neck muscles, and try to keep it packed. You can also place your hands on the ground if you need that stability, or you find yourself wobbling side to side. That control will get easier as you go. So this is how we start. We just roll up and down. Then you can start to pattern either into flexion or extension motions. The easiest is to pattern into flexion, which means as I roll, I'm going to crunch up and I'm going to rock back. Crunch and rock. This is starting to go into a flexion motion, and you can do 3 to 5 passes of that, keeping your chin tucked as you go to not strain the neck. Then I can work into extension. This can be done either in a rolling motion, in which I'm going to open up and roll, right? Roll back, open and roll. Or it can be done in a fixed position, in which case I'm going to keep stability here. I'm going to roll very small. I'm going to find a restricted area, and then I'm going to maintain tension here as I work through extension, and I'll go through ranges of motions with my arms. In this way, I can move up segment by segment, targeting different areas of the mid to upper back. So I can find a spot, and then go through 3 to 5 repetitions of this motion. Then I can roll up a little bit higher. Same thing. Keep my glutes engaged, breathe and brace, do a little crunch, and then extend over. Doing a little windmill motion. You can also do arm reaches. There's numerous different types of motions you can pattern here. If you're finding any tension in the neck, you can gently cradle your head here so that you take away any of the need for the neck muscles to stabilize. In this way, I would hold this, and then I would go through the extension pattern. Roll up. Now I'm between the shoulder blades. I can hold the neck, go through a flexion extension pattern, or I can go through the full windmill motion. So the idea is that you've got numerous ways that you can load this to allow you to control both the range of motion you're going through, as well as the level of intensity and need for stability. For this, we're going to start with the roller in the lower part of the mid-back. I'm going to keep my hips on the ground, and I'm going to start by crossing my arms across the chest. I'm going to breathe, and then I'm going to reach overhead. And I'm just going to hang out here for a second. Slowly sinking deeper and deeper. If you're finding any tension in the neck, you can stabilize your head as you do this, such that I'm cradling my head to really focus on opening the chest and working the mid-back without straining or utilizing any excess tension in the neck. Keeping a neutral head position. Breathe and slowly try to melt into the roller, extending over it. This is a slower, much more passive technique. It's more parasympathetic, and it really allows you to open up and relax into the position. Spend quite a few breaths doing that, 3 to 5, and then work up a little higher and repeat the process. You can also do this a faster way in which you keep your butt on the ground, and now you're going to reach overhead going into extension and coming back. So it's going to look like this. Bring your arms in, reach, and extend. You can find a few different areas in the mid-back to work that, do 3 to 5 reps each spot. Now to work the upper back, we're going to go through some very similar patterns as we did on the mid-back, and now we're going to work between the shoulder blades and up into the traps. For this, I'm going to set the back roller between the shoulder blades, and I'm going to come up into the bridge position. I'm then going to cross my arms across my chest. This takes the shoulder blades and wraps them like this, really allowing those bumps to dig into the muscles in the rhomboid mid-trap area. I can do small rolls like this. I can also cradle my neck if I'm getting any tension there. And this is the intro way. Then, once I'm on the spot, I can then work through either overhead reach sort of positioning, or I can do windmills, opening and closing as I go to really work the scapula and those shoulder muscles there between the edge of the scapula and the spine. You're going to find a few spots of that, and then you can work all the way up into the trap. And at this point, I can also rest my head on the roller, and I can work those snow angel-like motions, letting these upper bumps dig into the traps, but with no tension in my neck muscles, because my hips and core bracing is what's providing the stability for this position. Everything else can be relaxed onto here as I work through different ranges of motion. The next technique is a resting distraction technique, in which we're going to use the back roller to help do distraction work for the neck. What we're going to do is find 2 bumps that we're going to place at the bottom of the occiput, right at the base of the skull where those muscles attach. For this, I'm going to simply lie back. This is a very relaxing technique. I'm going to center that right on those muscles, right at the base of the skull there. And I'm just going to relax, and I'm going to let the roller pull my head up slightly. Okay, so my chin is going to be tucked in, and this is going to help distract and open up the neck. You can either just breathe into this position, or you can do tiny rolls, working the base of that occiput back and forth. If you have any underlying neck issues or excessive tension in this area, this might not be the right exercise for you though, and you'd want to start with a more regressed version like we talked about before. Now we're going to talk about how to get set up using the back roller on the low back. For this, the most important thing is to maintain stability. That's going to include using your hips to brace and stabilize, as well as using your breath and abdominal tension to make sure that you are maintaining core control as you put any pressure into the low back. For this, just like we set up on the mid back, I'm going to use my thumbs to position, and I'm going to start up above the low back. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, lift off, and now I'm going to breathe, inflating 360 degrees around here to create stability through my torso as I do any sort of pressure into this area. Now, from here, I'm going to start to roll up into the low back. Now this can be done either with the hands on the ground to begin, in which case I am creating even more stability using my shoulders and hands, and I can also control how much I'm sinking down into the roller. So I can lift myself off the roller slightly, or I can sink down slightly more depending on the level of intensity that I'm looking for. So you can work your way up through there, very small rolls as you go, maintaining glute activation, breathing and bracing, and in this case, contact with my hands. You want to progress from there? You can cross your arms across your chest. Make sure that you do not lose your bracing, okay? So I don't want to see this, right? In which case you go into extension here. You're no longer stable through your core, and all of the pressure is being put into those lumbar muscles. That is not how you ever approach rolling the low back. You have to maintain hip activation, breathing, bracing the entire time. Then I've got the control that I can work through that area much safer and with more control. I'm going to go into a pelvic tilt motion. So I can find a restricted spot, and now I can stabilize and control through small pelvic tilt motions. If you have any low back issues or any history of low back issues, do not roll the low back without first talking to your doctor. All of the techniques that we've recommended here are really for beginners. As you get more comfortable using the back roller, working the low, mid, and upper parts of the back, you can start to experiment with broader ranges of motion, different arm motions, and different speeds at which you're going to roll. But to begin, you're going to want to walk through those areas of the body, utilizing the techniques that we just showed, and get started. And don't forget, if you need to use the towel to start, to mute some of that pressure, or in different areas you need to use the towel, it is easy to do so, and you can always take it away as you get more and more comfortable with that level of pressure. Make sure to maintain good bracing and stability no matter what part of the back you're rolling, especially the low back, but just as critically for the mid and upper back, and make sure that those hips also stay engaged as you work through those ranges.